Success Insight shares the stories of the people with passion and drive who make things happen in the world. Here's your host, Howard Fox.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Success Insight podcast. Our guest today is Andrée Martin, and you know what that means. When Andrée Martin is on our show, it must be Mindset Monday. And this is a very special Mindset Monday because this is my chance to have a little different chat with Andrée, because we're going to talk about what were our reflections, our lessons learned for 2020, because by the time this episode is published at the end of the year, we have had 30 episodes in the Mindset Monday series. And what a fantastic opportunity to chat with Andrée and really to kind of reflect on the world of golf, mindset, the world of business. And we're also going to talk a little bit about what's in store for 2021. And just to give you a little reminder before we have our conversation with Andrée, she is our leadership, mindset, and golf performance coach. She is an LPGA Class A Life member, a nationally recognized top 50 golf teacher and expert, and a member of the Maine Golf Hall of Fame. Recognizing golf's value as a business tool in today's competitive marketplace, Andrée works with individuals, groups, corporate, or organizational clients to create educational and team-building programs that enhance the professional success of aspiring executives. Andrée, such a pleasure.
End of 2020 and not soon enough, Howard.
Oh, man, it's such a great honor to have you back on the podcast. What a year it's been. I mean, imagine back in January, this was just that was an idea. It was a thought. And all of a sudden, we just kind of ramped up and let loose here.
This has been a fun run.
Yeah.
We've really teed it up well, and I'm ready to come down the stretch here and close out 2020 and get everybody ready for a fantastic 2021.
I hope, it's a lot of hope that 2021 is going to be a little bit, or perhaps a lot different than 2020 was. I started out in Chicago. I ended up in Las Vegas. You started out in San Diego. You ended up in Maine. Where in Maine, by the way?
I'm in the Portland area. I actually grew up at Higgins Beach in Scarborough, but I'm living in Portland, and it's been interesting being back.
Yeah.
I'm just realizing it's been 36 years since I've lived here.
Oh, wow.
I'm getting to see a lot more of winter than I'm used to, but it is fun to reconnect with many people that I haven't seen in a long time and meet many new people and really take a good look at this year. And you and I think, have done a heck of a job pivoting and making the most. And hopefully our listeners, the way I was thinking about it is, for many, this was a 10-cup year in the hazards and lakes with lots of alligators and snakes coming from every angle. It makes me think of the Claw, where I played college golf. You had the fairway, and then there was the swamp, and that was it. And so you better be down the middle, hitting the green and moving on.
Well, I have to ask, though, what kind, being down south, if you're in the swamp, I don't know if you necessarily want to go traipsing after a ball, but what do you find in the swamp in Maine?
In Maine, you don't. I'm talking about Florida, where I played collegiate golf.
Ah, okay.
No, in Maine, you just find plenty of fescue and thick woods and lots of water. But what the Claw for me is collegiate golf in Tampa. I played for USF, and it literally was either fairway or the swamp. There were gators, snakes, you name it, and you did not want to go in there looking for your golf ball.
So what is this, where this idea of mindset started to come as a kind of a spark for you of why it's so important? Because without mindset and thinking about, what do I want to do with this shot? How am I going to go out and make it happen? Because if you don't, you're in the swamp.
It's interesting. I had a lunch with 3 of the ladies that really inspired and made sure I stayed in the game. And I got a chance to thank them for keeping me in the game and making sure I got to all my tournaments. And we were reflecting back on tournaments. And there were 2 ladies especially that made my life very difficult on the golf course. They played a lot of mind games. And so, yes, this is where I started my intrigue and interest in not letting them get the best of me and me overcoming myself, and whether I'm allowing that to come in or not, and my never ending search for helping others with their mind over matter and their mind over golf. And it continues, and I'm only getting better and better at teaching it. And I look forward to sharing some thoughts around that today, actually, and then some.
Fantastic. I have to share before we head out today.
Sure.
Is, one of the activities this past year, especially as we are in lockdown, is I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and some of it has been, how am I going to get from Chicago to Las Vegas? What kind of car am I going to buy? How am I going to go car camping? What kind of equipment do I need? Do I want a rooftop tent, et cetera, et cetera? But I also watch a lot of videos that are based on interests I have, and including conversations that you and I have had, because, once you start searching on a video, the next thing you know, every other video is a particular topic that you've been searching for. So in this case, golf. And last week we were talking about the technical side of golf, the collecting of data. And sure enough, as you are often want to highlight an aspect of Tiger Woods' career and what he's done, how he has recovered from both the personal side and the physical side to reclaim his position as one of the top golfers in the world. There was a YouTube video which was highlighting the greatest shots of Tiger Woods in 2000 something. I have no idea what it was, but I remember he was in a bunker, maybe 100 yards from the hole, 68, let's say 68 yards, because we all know 68% of all golf shots happen within 100 yards of the pin. I think I got that right.
You got it, Howard. You're learning fast.
All right. And so this huge tree is in front of him. Now, the tree didn't have any leaves, so I imagine it was a time of the year when all the leaves have fallen, but it was right there in front of him. And then there's the green. And he literally picked a club out of his bag, put it back, got another club, put it back, got another club, just constantly looking at the shot. And I'm thinking to myself, this is exactly what Andrée and I talked about, because sure enough, the shot he took, he had enough loft and enough spin on the ball and hit the green and started to roll. And this shot that I would have messed up without question landed, rolled to be about 3 to 4 feet from the pin. And I was, and all I could think about is I have to share this with Andrée. So I'm going to go find it and share it with you. I was thinking, this was almost everything you and I have talked about this past year.
Yeah. Yeah. And in fact, DeChambeau is shattering all kinds of data records this year. And it's fascinating to see the evolution of the players on the PGA Tour. And then also simultaneously for me as a coach, watching all the amateurs and their amateur stats and how we can effectively help them accelerate their progress and improve their games. That's what I thought we could do today in this Mindset Monday. So folks, if you're listening, I hope you're in a place where you can pull out a piece of paper, because I want to do a year-end assessment for you. We're going for the gold and not selling for silver, right, Howard?
That's very true. Always go for the gold.
So if we had a year where perhaps we had to settle for silver, not wanting to or willing to, but that may have been the case, well, let's take a look. Because the other saying I really enjoy is, are you letting life happen to you, or are you letting life happen for you? And in doing that, hopefully we had a couple episodes where we talked about SMART goals and define the word goal. And we did it for both golf and business. And I want to revisit that a little bit and help you do a quick assessment and walk away today with some positives for 2020. SMART. So S stands for, Howard, go ahead.
Oh, come on. You can't put me in this.
Specific.
Specific, measurable,
Achievable,
attainable.
R.
Result. I was going to say realistic, and
timely.
All right.
Timely. And
by the way, for our listeners, it is exactly 3:00, and I've been on the phone since 6 a.m. So no excuses. But I want to chime in where necessary. But this is Andre's show here.
I put him on the spot. Actually, I know Howard knows this at the back of his head. I just happened to catch him, and he teaches this as well. For golf, SMART stands for stable, mentally calm, aim, ready and relaxed, and target. Both of them chime in. So we want stable and specific. So stable, you want to set up your foundation. We talked about in another episode, GPA plus B. That's laying your foundation and having balance. We want to specifically look at what you listed at the beginning of the year, which goals were met. How about when you had to pivot? There's a lot of good stuff that could come out of this. It's not necessarily all a negative year. And many of you had a successful year because of COVID. So we're looking at all angles here. Mentally calm. Again, the mindset comes in. But with that calming of the mind, you're able to get present and really dial in visualizing what you want. In golf, it's the shot at hand that you're about to execute in as much detail as possible. How good were you at doing that in every round, in every hole, and every shot? And then I'm going to take you through an exercise for next year. Measurable. How are your short-term, intermediate, and long-term goals? How did you do? In golf, you've got short game, which included up and downs, sandies, your putting average. This also could include ball striking, greens hit, your mental game, tournament performance over previous years, and how well did you do at meeting your 2020 goal? Aim. How well did you do keeping your eye on the target? We covered think box and go box. This all ties into that.
By the way, think box, go box is like probably the number one takeaway next to 68% of all shots are within 100 yards of the pin is probably the thing that I'm going to be remembering for the rest of my life. So thank you.
You're very welcome, Howard. And it's more key than people realize, because the more you can do in dumping your thinking and your thoughts from behind and then stepping in, your alignment. Remember, the steering wheel in the car is in front of you. It's not in the side console. You want to be able to align yourself from directly behind the ball, looking at the target. And then achievable, how did we do? Assess how you knew you got there. Did you stick to your priorities, even with all the curveballs you've been thrown throughout this year, either in your golf game or your business? A lot of folks had health issues. That's a big curveball. I had one of those after my visit to the East Coast, and it can be quite challenging. How do you pivot? How do you get stronger and stronger and carry this forward into 2021? R, ready and relaxed. The more relaxed you are, the more fun you have. The more relaxed you are, the more your sequence for your golf game falls into place. There is a fine line with tempo and relaxation to create solid contact, good rhythm, good timing, which increases club head speed, distance, and accuracy.
This too comes in with the breathing, the tempo, relaxation.
Absolutely.
Learning how to breathe.
Absolutely. Breathing ties into all of that. And that's why breathing and balance are so key in your GPA and B. And realistic is the other R from a business side. And it also ties into relaxing, because if you allow yourself to relax, you can zoom in on your goals and really assess how you actualized your goals and how realistic were you. Maybe the beginning of the year, your goals were set at a certain number. You had to adjust and pivot throughout the year. Well, how did you do? And again, be thinking about next year. But right now, today's episode is all about assessing and seeing just how many good things came out of this year, despite all the curveballs and the hazards that we've bumped into. This may not necessarily have been a year where we had lots of birdies and pars and smooth sailing of hitting lots of greens and fairways, but I've had some of my best rounds ever playing cross-country golf and hitting out of the woods, having lots of barkies and polies. I'll talk to you about that in another episode, but that's one of my fun games.
Well, some episode we have to talk about all those golf terms that
the golfisms.
Golfisms
has something to do with a tree wood.
Gotcha.
And then the T is timely and the target. And I love the target with golf is trust, tempo, target. And how your will to succeed, despite every obstacle that comes your way to succeed, maintains itself when you trust, have your best tempo, and relax and zoom in on the target. And in following the target, the timeliness of business, sequencing creates good timing, both in golf and in business. So if your business through COVID headed off track, how well did you do to bring it back? Make a list of all the things you did to keep bringing yourself back on track and keeping your eye on the target, on the goal, and how are you going to adjust in 2021? One other thing I think I took away this year, and Howard, I'm sure you could concur, is you can't trust the outside world of what's going on around us, but you can certainly trust yourself. So what things did you do this year to trust and go within to make it your best year that you could? It's always good at the end of the year to take a look at that.
I love that example because, I mean, this year, because of COVID, because of just, the way this year started and the way it's ending, I mean, it's a total, for me, 180 degrees. And one of the pieces or aspects of my life this year has been really to trust, for me, the stomach. When am I making the right decision? When am I potentially going to make a decision that doesn't serve me? Not necessarily that it's wrong, but I need to walk away from, say no to, and it's just not that important. And looking and listening and feeling what those signs might be.
A lot of people get stuck on positive affirmations and being positive all the time, but you bring up a great point. Listening to your gut and the go, no go is just as important as, okay, stay positive, because that is a form of positive, because you're really listening to what is best in the moment for you and your next move, whether it be in business or on the golf course. So what I'd like to do is finish on a high so we can soar and score in 2021, Howard.
Soar and score for 2021.
That's right. All right. To soar and score, it is always smart, no pun intended, to do your own assessment beyond what we just discussed with the SMART goals. And I want to break this down for the listeners. And I've got 3, 6, 8 categories. It can be more, actually 9. And what I'd like all of the listeners to do is to list 2 successes in each of these categories. Okay. I actually split business and career into 2 separate categories. And for the listeners out there, this can even mean if you are CEO of your household as well. So list 2 business, 2 career successes, 2 successes in golf or your favorite sport, your physical health, your education, your spiritual, financial, family. Actually, I want to back up to financial because I've heard a lot of stories of people losing everything. But at the same time, I've heard amazing stories of hanging in there and realizing the courage that it takes to care for your family and care for your employees and care for your businesses and keep moving forward at all odds. And if you can do that in 2020, you can do anything in 2021. And that leads me into 2 goals for your family on a positive side and relationships.
One category, and maybe it's in here and probably we can refine it or maybe add it this year with COVID-19, the community. What is our role and how do we show up in the community? Because this has been one where it's, it is how we act, how we show up, choices we make are more than just what's right for me, what's right for my family, my immediate loved ones, but also what's right for the community.
Well, I think a big lesson learned is why we all feel isolated, because we've had to become safe, and is that we are all in this together as one. And how are we going to be in this world going forward in 2021? And how are we going to support one another, our families and community in 2021? And, that brings me back to another episode that we did this year where I used the saying, success is when preparedness meets opportunity. While in some aspects we may not have been prepared for the major curveball that was thrown at us in COVID, there were some opportunities where we got a chance to get much closer to family and community in many different ways and learn new ways and means of creating new rituals, creating new memories in different ways, just as you and I are doing right here in this Zoom podcast. This has been a blast, Howard. This is one of my big wins for the year. And I hope the listeners on this podcast have enjoyed every bit of it as well. And we're just going to keep making it better. We'd love to have your feedback and keep this moving forward so you can mentally, physically, and spiritually have your best 2021. I'd like to ask the listeners to join me. I'm going to do a carry on the soar and score by having a smart and fun goals for success in 2021 on Thursday, January 14th. From 9 to 11, it will be on Zoom. I will get Howard the link, and I will also be posting it to my website, andreegolf.com. That's Andrée with 2 E's, my Facebook site, and LinkedIn. And more than anything else, to the listeners, I hope that all of you have a very happy, healthy, and safe holiday season. I look forward with Howard to the next Mindset Monday in 2021.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Thank you so much. And
Howard, my pleasure.
What just a fantastic opportunity it's been. I won't say it's been a fantastic year. It's been a challenging year, personally, professionally. It's had some really remarkable successes, and again, this is one of those. And I was asked this morning during a monthly meeting what I was most proud of this year, and it most definitely is where this podcast has gone, and Andrée, the impact that you have had on that journey, that trajectory for it. So I want to thank you for joining me here, and
thank you,
and really just enlighten me into the world of golf and mindset. And at some point, COVID-19 will be behind us. You and I will be a little bit closer, and I'm going to work on my golf game, especially the game 100 yards in.
We're going to get you a golf game, Howard.
You're going to get me a golf.
I look forward to it.
All right. Well, Andrée,
golf is for lefties too, Howard.
Yes, it is. Fantastic. Well, Andrée, once again, thank you so much. And it's been an absolute pleasure. Have a restful, safe, just a good rest of your holiday season, and looking forward to continuing on this journey with you and seeing where we end up in 2021.
Likewise.
All right, folks, that's it. This is the end of the year reflection and kind of thinking about what's in store for 2021. And just what a pleasure to have Andrée Martin here with me on the Success Insight podcast and for this podcast series, Mindset Monday. And lots of great tidbits of information. And we are going to provide all the links to Andrée's website and to her social sites, and also provide the link to her program that's going to be coming up in the new year, Smart and Fun Goals for 2021. So do check us out in those show notes and make sure you follow that link to Andrée's site and kind of take action on it for 2021. Okay, folks, hey, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, have a wonderful holiday season. Take care of yourselves, take care of your family. And, again, thank you so much for joining us on this journey, Success Insight podcast, and Andrée with this series, Mindset Monday. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I most certainly hope that you received value or feel you've received some value out of the information we have been sharing. Okay. So again, take care, have a happy holiday season, and we'll see you in 2021 for the next episode. Oh, and before I forget, do visit us on our webpage, successinsightpodcast.com. We're also on Facebook and on LinkedIn, our Success Insight podcast pages. Episodes can also be downloaded and listened to via the podcast platforms, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, Pandora, and we are also on YouTube. That is it. All right, okay, folks, take care of yourselves. Have a safe and wonderful rest of your holiday season, and Happy New Year, and we'll see you in 2021. Take care now.
Success Insight is a production of Fox Coaching and First Story Strategies. Find us online, successinsightpodcast.com.